have you seen the movie Hoop Dreams?
Yes, I have. I love the movie Hoop Dreams. Every hoop fan has seen the movie Hoop Dreams. I mean, I would hope if you're born in like the 70s or 80s, you've seen this movie. Yeah. So
we'll take that. We'll take that to the heart. He said 70s and 80s, Agee.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but what were your thoughts though when you saw it?
For me, an experience of seeing entertainment with basketball put together, and to be able to touch people's hearts through basketball, and like, you know, to be able to tell stories in a way that, like, you know, if I'm not necessarily watching basketball every day in and out, you can sort of see what the life of people would be like who are playing basketball, and like that's an important thing. And I think that's like that expands the game to everyone, and we need to be having that storytelling. And so I think that those were like my earliest impressions, like to be turning on like a movie channel like HBO and seeing like, you know, Hoop Dreams on there, and like, you know, it's not like I'm watching NBC the game on Sunday afternoon or something.
Hoop Dreams, the podcast, an Unlearning Network production.
I mean, I gotta say, you are our first international guest. So, and yeah, we're gonna put you in the international category. But we know you got some love for the States too. But Agee, this is gonna be a great one. We got an international guest on this episode because the man that is joining us today, I ain't gonna hold this against him, Agee.
Right.
But he did come from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. He's a Badger in his heart.
Yeah.
I only say that because of that Badger Marquette, you know, rivalry there. But he has worked throughout Greater China the past 20 years in communication and athletic management. He is one of the few foreign-born licensed player agents in China, and he is now the co-founder and CEO of East Asia Super League, which you're going to love to hear what this is all about, also known as the EASL, the Premier Regional Championship competition for club basketball in East Asia, also featuring teams from Greater China, Japan, Korea, and the Philippines. We'd like to welcome to the Hoop Dreams podcast, Mr. Matt Beyer. I'm Will Gates, and that's my dog.
Arthur Agee, thanks for coming on the show, Matt. Man, it's a pleasure to meet you, man.
Thank you, Will and Agee. I mean, this is it's a pleasure to be here. Matt, thank you so much. You know, East Asia Super League is growing right now, and we've been doing a lot of things recently here in the U.S. I'm in Los Angeles right now, getting ready for our inaugural season. Maybe some people have heard the news that we just formed a collaboration with Jalen Green from Houston Rockets, and he's one of our investor ambassadors, and also out here seeing Beyer Davis and Metta World Peace, who are also investors in the business and big supporters. So we're excited for our first season, which starts in a home and away format this October. I'd love to tell you guys more about it too.
That's awesome, man.
That is going to be huge.
Some big names right there. Beyer Davis, Ron Artest, big Metta World Peace.
So all of these gentlemen who have come on to support East Asia Super League are really hyping up the game in Asia due to their own personal connections. And we are featuring the top teams from Greater China, Japan, Korea, and the Philippines in a format that plays two small groups of 4 teams, home and away. And then the top 2 teams in the small groups then qualify for a Final Four competition. And that Final Four will rotate among big Asian cities year on year. And it looks like our first Final Four happening in March 2023 is going to be in Manila, Philippines. And then we look like year 2 is probably going to be Okinawa. And then we'll just keep going around the region at these top cities. And that experience is going to have a music festival and like a lot of parties and activations around it. So, we love to see our friends from the U.S. out there, enjoying themselves and seeing this. So it's the top Asian basketball league, and we're aiming to be by 2025 top 3 league in the world in terms of commercial revenue and also fan base size, because we cover 1.7 billion people among all our geographies. So it's a lot of people.
My goodness. So this is all I heard, Agee. I heard him say that he was inviting us to the Final Four in 2023. I think that's what I heard.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because, I love the Philippines. I love it.
Yeah, who doesn't? I mean, the motto of the country is "It's more fun in the Philippines," which it definitely
absolutely
is. Yeah. So,
hey Matt, let me ask you this: How long? How do you put something like this together? How long has this been in the works?
Yeah. So, I mean, I started being in the basketball industry in 2007 when Agee was drafted by the Milwaukee Bucks, and I was his translator. And then after that, just it was the bug to be in the industry. And so I was working in a PR firm in Beijing after finishing with the Bucks, and then on my weekends I was studying to be an agent. And I was going to Beijing Sports University Saturday and Sunday and taking a class. And then the people at the university asked the Ministry of Sport in China if I would be qualified to take the exam and to be certified as an agent. And they said, yeah, they would welcome someone from a different country. And so I took the exam and got the certification. And then I got the certification from the China Basketball Association, and then started an agency where we were bringing in about 40% of the American players in the China Basketball Association for an 8-year period. And that included guys like Will Bynum, Emmanuel Mudiay, Lance Stevenson, Justin Hamilton, Jeremy Lin, et cetera. So, we were doing good business. And then, but at the same time, I just thought, there's so much passion for the game, and you see all of these tours every off season, like Nike's there, Adidas is there, Under Armour. The fans go crazy for the game, but then you're really seeing that the local leagues themselves kind of need a facelift and something new to get the fans excited. It's really this international competition element. And then in terms of like raising the level of the game, the better the game is in these international games, the level of the players is going to improve, and you're going to see more and more Asian players going into the NBA, and that's a good thing too. It makes the NBA a much more exciting element with, like, say you get a player from China every season, a player from Japan every season. It's just like the European players in the NBA now, with who are incredibly successful.
Our podcast is a little bit different too. We want to get all the beginnings. So we kind of jumped ahead on a lot of things. So we want to back you up a second. Let us back you up, because we actually got what I'm recognizing, man, through your story so far. There's 2 origin stories. There's your personal origin story, how you got to where you are, but it's also the birth of the EASL. So we want to dive into them. But first, you're born and raised up there in Madison, Wisconsin. I got 2 questions for you, and you got to answer this question. First is, I want to know, what was it like growing up in the Beyer household? But then after you answer that, I got a very difficult question for you.
Yeah.
What is a Badger?
Okay, so I actually grew up in Milwaukee and then went to college in Madison. So I grew up, and I had I loved growing up in my household. And I especially liked it when I was 10 and my family adopted 2 kids from China, because that's kind of like how I got onto that side of the world. And so I had always had a family like with adopted cousins. I have 1 cousin from Brazil, 1 from Philippines, and then my adopted siblings. And so, I just always felt like our family was like, had a lot of interesting elements, and that was cool. After that, though, that's why I moved immediately from high school to China. Was also, I mean, growing up in Milwaukee and in the suburbs of it too is like it's pretty vanilla. And so I wanted to get out and to see something completely different. And that's why I went to China. and I experienced something completely different. And then after 2.5 years there, that's when I went to back to Madison, and then that's where I was a badger. And a badger is a mean little animal that lives in a tree stump and like comes out and scratches and bites at the things when they're disturbed. So it's a pretty vicious thing. So but we seem to in football. I remember getting beaten up by the Wolverines quite a bit. So basketball we were kicking ass, but yeah, football so.
Yeah, they gave Marquette a run.
Yeah. I mean,
Marquette probably was scared to play him.
Hey, now we ain't gonna say all that. We ain't gonna say that.
Marquette's always I feel like having a lot more up and down than the Badgers. Like, I mean, Badgers are consistent, but I mean, Marquette is just a powerhouse. I mean, look at all of the superstars. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember in high school, like with my friends who were already going to Marquette, like goes to a party and, oh man, that's Dwayne Wade, or that's Steve Novak or something. You know, it's been like from the beginning, I guess that evolution was just, I grew up in a household with a lot of love, but I also kind of felt like the world's really big and I wanted to go do a bunch of different things. And I think that's what East Asia Super League has like been the manifestation of that.
That's beautiful, man.
Brothers, sisters?
I have two sisters and one brother. So one biological sister and one brother who's adopted as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
wow.
Yeah, and I'm the oldest. Yeah, so we're all really close.
That's all right.
That's interesting because that's great you grew up like that, and that you wanted to get out and see the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just didn't want to go to college and all of that. I'm finna go to China, like go to a whole nother, you know what I'm saying, place. And some kids would be the opposite. They would be scared to leave their family. You know what I'm saying? Or kind of shy and don't want to experience the world like that. But you had that. That's a great attribute to have and grow up and wanting to do.
I think it was more just my family was really just cool about it. I said, like, hey, I wanted to do this, and they were like, well, show us a plan. Like, you're going to go to a school and you've got somewhere to live, and okay, you're going to have a job on the side to learn how to work, and okay, all of that matches our expectations. Then go and have fun and learn a lot. And I mean, the world's a big place. Like, it's just it's amazing to have these experiences, and it's like you can travel around and meet so many different types of people. And the game of basketball is like that's another thing where you kind of parachute into any city in the world, and as long as there's a basketball culture, you're going to meet like the coolest people out there.
Yep.
That's what I love about my life in the game.
Hey, so being in China, did you meet Stephon Marbury?
I have met Stephon Marbury. Yeah, I mean, he's a legend. There's a golden statue outside of the Beijing stadium for Steph. I mean, he is the guy. I remember clearly. I was sitting there. It was 2009 CBA All-Star game in Beijing, and I'm up in like a box, and then sitting there with my friend watching. I'm like, man, Steph. Like, because I had seen him 2007 on the Knicks, and it was kind of coming to the end there, and then he's just tearing it up, and I'm like, if we get more guys like Steph from the U.S., like the level of the league is just going to change incredibly. And he was really the first guy to be super visible and to be telling guys like, hey, this isn't like scary. You go to China, you're going to get paid on time. You're going to have a new chance at your career. And I really think that he's just an ambassador for something, to just getting so many great players to come to China.
That's what's up. So it's Yao Ming and Steph.
Yeah, I mean, like, Yao is now the commissioner of the league, and he's been from 2016 in this leadership position, and he's really working hard to make the league a sustainable, strong thing for young players. When he was going to the NBA, it was very hard for a Chinese player to get out of the Chinese system and to go into the NBA. And he just said, he wanted players to be able to move freely across the world to pursue the best career for them. And I think he's done great things in terms of improving the league in China after his playing career, which, I think it's an unknown story. Yao Ming is a great guy.
Yeah, I bet. He seems like it. Everybody I know talk about him always, talks about him in great fashion.
Yeah, one of our strategic advisors is Bill Duffy, who is representing Luka Doncic and RJ Barrett, and he was Steve Nash, and Yao Ming, his whole career. But Bill's always like, Yao's like the best dude ever, So, and Bill's good people. Like he's the best man.
I can imagine that, man. I want to ask you, man, about, and I just want to say this too, man. I was just for all the Wisconsin Badger fans listening, I love the university. Agee and I, we know plenty guys who played there from our era, from Mike Friend to Tracy Dildy. I mean, it's a legendary school. But I want to ask you about your experience there, because you chose to study Chinese literature, journalism, and East Asian studies. I guess my question for you is, man, did you foresee the growth of Asia? Did something like turn you to that? Because to go to school to make that your major, what was the process behind that?
Well, I'd already lived in China for like 2 years prior to that, like after high school. And so I was in school learning Chinese. I actually, my first semester there, I just took a test and I passed all of the Chinese undergraduate courses. And I then got into the master's and PhD stuff for the Chinese literature. And I mean, that's like boot camp of school. Like we were reading like a novel every week, like in Chinese. And sometimes it's like Chinese that even people, high school, college students have trouble with, who are native speakers. And so I was just my brain was like, exercising. I just was thinking, like I'm here, I need to get a degree. Like this is important, and I want to study something that I'm good at and that I like. And it was good. And then I kind of saw that, like, okay, your major, if it's just about like reading books and analyzing books, it's like the skills in the real world are not that big. So I went to journalism school too, and UW has like a top 5 journalism school in the country, and I was like, I learned how to write, and that helped me like get a job in PR and work in media and whatnot. So I mean, it was just like it was like great. I mean, UW, that's the thing about all those Big Ten schools, is like you think about the sports, but it's like the academics are just so strong, and it was so great to be like from Wisconsin and able to get that in-state tuition, and just like, if you want to study something, it's all there. So I was really glad.
I haven't traveled to an Asian country yet. Have you, Will?
I'm gonna say no.
Manila, guys. I mean, we're talking about this Final Four. That if you guys want to do it, we're game. We're hosting. We can talk about that later, but you're welcome.
Right,
Mark,
right.
We are on our way. We are on our way. As a matter of fact, we get off the call, I'm going to get me a passport. We are on our way. My next question for you, though, is we want to kind of transition into your work.
Yeah.
What you do, man. How do you go from, like, how did you know there was a tie-in with sports in all of this?
Well, I was lucky because when I was sitting there, I had just done this contest in it was at the Chicago Chinese Consulate, and it was for like Chinese speakers in the Midwest. And I won this contest and I was being sent to China for this show of like top Chinese speakers, who are not Chinese in the world. And then they drafted E to the Milwaukee Bucks. And I was like, okay, if anyone's going to be qualified to be this guy's translator, I think it's me. And I'm here in Wisconsin. I got to try for this. So I was interning at a PR agency, and my boss happened to know someone working for the Bucks, the general manager. And so, I would just, and if you remember about that draft, he didn't want to go to Milwaukee. His agent wanted him to go to Los Angeles or a big market. And so they were holding out. And so I was giving my boss, I would take the Chinese news about the issue and I would translate a summary and I would give it to my boss. So he would send it to the Bucks every day. We did this from the draft at the end of June until he showed up at the team. And then he showed up at the team. He really couldn't communicate with the media or anything. And then I got a call and they said, hey, can you come for an interview tomorrow? And so I just got in my car and I drove from Madison to Milwaukee, and, it's like, hey, can you translate for this interview with ESPN? And okay, sure. Why not? And then there I was traveling with the team on the plane, 2 weeks later. It was awesome.
Damn.
Can you believe that, Agee? I mean, think about that. I mean, literally, Matt, you're like one of the rare few guys who literally can say, no, my education has paid off for me. Like, you're not into something different. You were doing what you went to school to do, man. That's amazing.
Just what you just said, that whole story was crazy.
Yeah.
For you to translate and then send it in every day.
22 years old too. I mean, it was awesome. All of a sudden, I remember going the first trip to Houston, and we go in there and we take the team bus to the Four Seasons, and I was kind of like asked, someone came and gave me a card. This is your room, and I thought, I'm like, this is my room, just for me. I thought I was gonna be like staying, down the street at the Motel 6 and sharing a room.
Right.
But it was awesome. So
now I would think the player, he would want to develop a relationship with you, or is it just strictly just show up to my interviews and just say what I say? Like, we don't have a relationship. Like, how was that? Did he like you?
Yeah, I mean, you were cool. Like he's a very serious guy. I mean, he's not really like a joker or anything like that. So I mean, it took a long time for us to warm up to one another, I would say, but the level of trust is there, and we still keep in touch, and occasionally just holiday greetings, whatnot. But I mean, he's a good dude. And if you ask any coach, they're just like top professional. He's always the first in the locker room, the last to leave. He's putting in the extra work at practice. I mean, he's like mid-30s now, but still just like top player in China, and he has been since he left the NBA now it's like 10 years after his NBA career. He's still playing.
Wow. That's amazing. Wow. I always liked the Yee's game.
Yeah.
I think if he was here in the NBA now, he would be a very valuable player. But there was still the traditional big men back in that time, So, I mean, he would be like the big man in today's NBA.
Wow.
Here's the thing I just got to throw this at you, Matt. You said earlier that your friends was throwing at you, that's Dwayne Wade, that's Steve Novak. But man, you sitting here with the Milwaukee Bucks. How was those conversations with your friends?
There was a lot of things that, just being around those guys, some of them were, really cool and always just engaging, and some of them were more reserved. I spent a lot of time chatting with Dan Gazarich, Andrew Bogut, who else? I even remember Ramon Sessions was the second round pick that year. And then it's funny because I ended up doing a deal as an agent for him. What would that have been? 11 years later or something like that. So, I mean, these guys, he was such a cool guy, like always just, you'd see him holding the door for people, being like super nice and polite and everything. And 11 years later, he shows up in China. He's like the same dude. And, it's just kind of, so there's a lot of really good guys that were around on the team. And Michael Redd was, obviously the biggest presence in the team at the time. And there's big personalities like Desmond Mason, just it was a fun locker room, but it was not a very good team. I think there was 26 wins that season. So it was kind of like if you went on the road, it was probably going to be a quiet plane ride back.
It was a lot of those that year.
yeah. But there was a lot of things that was like eyes wide open that season for sure. Traveling with an NBA team, especially I think when you're new and it's like sort of the same age as the players, like it's very exciting,
So you're in China. Can you talk to us a little bit about just that transition for you? Like what is it like navigating a new country? And I know you spent some time there, but now you're there permanently. Was it an easy transition? Were there stretches where it was just tough? And then I think my bigger question is, did you ever say to yourself, man, I'm just ready to go home?
It's definitely something. And the thing about China is like, it's just been moving so fast. It's like the level of change that happens there is amazing. Like I've gone from seeing when we adopted my siblings in 1996 until like now, from the country, which is pretty much rural and extreme poverty, to like, people being extremely wealthy and in the big cities, especially. And just all of the changes with it have been incredible. When the COVID pandemic came and you can kind of see like the different shutdowns of borders and whatnot, like some of that has been very harsh. So like, and that's, part of the initial reason of, I've been in Hong Kong for the last 6 years. And came from Hong Kong when they started shutting down in February to the States to keep working. Because right now there's still border controls with like quarantines in hotels. Like my wife went back for something and she's in a hotel for 7 days right now. And, that stuff, I think, now we're 2.5 years into this. And, if you're still having these types of controls, like it just gets really hard on people. And, myself included. So.
Yeah. So your wife is in a hotel right now for 7 days.
Yeah, she's in the W. She's not complaining, but it's like, but she's like,
she's in the W.
She's got like whatever bath salts and all this things.
Yeah, room service, TV, big bed.
But still, like thank God that to have the means to be able to do something like that for my wife and for her sanity. But like there's a lot of people who say they're staying in not very nice hotels and you've got a little room and you're there. And before the quarantine was not only 7 days, it was up to 21 days at one point. So that's hard. That's hard for people, and it's expensive. Yeah. So just for you to go from another place back to your own home and then to pay that is like, it's tough. So
mentally,
the pandemic is, it's been tough on everyone. Who in the world has escaped this without some sort of pain,
It's interesting you bring that up though. Can you talk to us a little bit how the pandemic, because again, if it's the United States, China, kind of like, I want to say fighting, but you're kind of seeing it from that perspective over there. What was the perspective?
I think that the way that China has looked at this situation in its own media is that like the U.S. managed the pandemic in a very irresponsible way, like, letting so many people die in the country. And that's why the response is so harsh in China, where with all of the lockdowns and the borders closed and people locked in their houses. But, it's just like it, I think when you're there and, there's a lot more restrictions on what you can do, like when restaurants close, or if you're allowed to dine in, or if you are allowed to have these quarantines or not have these quarantines. I mean, it's like, I don't think anyone is totally getting it right. And it just is one of those things where you have to be resilient as much as possible, and you have to stay close to your loved ones. And, we all have to be like adaptable, agile, know when to pivot, know when to read the play. Like, it's just like, these are hard times, just for everyone, I think. I mean, and now all of these people, these billionaires who made crazy off the stock market, that stuff's kind of like, crumbling. And so I think this is just, interesting times that we live in. And, this pandemic has made the world a bit crazy. And what I really hope for, though, is like, it's all easy for us to sit here and identify problems and poke holes. But what I really hope is, we can try to find common ground. I mean, like, people just in general have to find ways to come together for the world to be better in the future.
That's the only way it's gonna work. Did the pandemic help your starting the AESL, or did it hurt it?
I mean, look, like, I think there's certain things that helped and certain things that hurt a lot. But I think that overall, I think that if you ask most business owners, they tend to be optimistic, or like generally optimistic. Otherwise, you wouldn't go and, risk your livelihood on starting a business.
Right.
But yeah, so I think we transitioned from an events company because we had these huge tournaments that we were running 2017, 18, 19 in Macau, where we bring all of the teams together. And then our original plan is by 2020 that we transition to home and away. And that's what we're doing now this October. But we got the opportunity to really spend 2 years to plan and to also become a media company. So we have like short form content. Now we're about to do a reality series following the season with like one of the top Korean reality series producers and a director that's made like several Oscar winning movies from Korea. And like, it's going to be like awesome to be able to have like our game that has been planned well, all of the supporting content around it. And then at the end of the season, this great reality series, which is going to be, a real like beautiful production for people to enjoy.
No doubt about that. Now, Matt, you started here, and then we kind of did that movie format where we rewind it back.
Yeah.
So now we're back at the point where we started at. And how did the EASL come about? And tell us about the birth of that dream and the finding of it. How did that just come about?
Yeah, the EASL is it's really it came about because there was a need for a way to take the passion of the fans for Asian basketball, the passion behind the regional rivalries that exist between the different countries in the region, and there's only a certain amount of national team games, and the games need to be produced in a higher quality way that's similar to NBA level production. So what could we do? And that's really where we came for EASL to produce this home and away Champions League format of Asian basketball. And that's what we're in the middle of starting at this moment.
Wow. That is amazing.
First of all, man, I just got to tell you this. The idea is amazing. I mean, the concept is incredible. I mean, to bring, I mean, it's Agee, it almost kind of remind me of how we used to do our summer leagues where all the champion teams will come and play
from the different parks
to get a champion of a champion. I mean, is it something like that? Am I describing that right?
It's the teams qualify through their own local leagues, and then so the team, if your standings from this season, which just ended, that we know who our teams are who are qualified now because they've just ended their seasons. That they play our season, and then our next season will be the teams that qualify from this 22-23 season coming up. So I mean, that's just how it works. So we make the league stronger, we make the teams invest more, and then we have like more buy-in from all of the people in the different markets for why East Asia Super League is a good thing for their market.
So visibility is more, correct?
The visibility is huge. I mean, you take like say from Japan, a country of like 120 million people, and then you expose it to all of China and like a 1.7 billion person audience. It's enormous.
So, and I got to ask you this too, man, the logistics behind this, that here you, I mean, for all purposes, intent, you are from America.
Yeah.
How did the country take to you being the guy that, to lead this? I mean, was there any backlash from that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that the rivalries between the countries make it so that it's really complicated for someone from one of those countries to pull this off. So it was kind of like outsiders come in and help, but obviously because of the experience in China, and then we have a team of 30 people, and everyone has experience in every different geography, and so there's a lot of like trust, and I have a great team. So as the team grew, we were able to bring in support from all the different countries.
How are the teams made up? Are they made up of local players, and are there any Americans on these teams?
Yeah, so the teams are we play with a 12-man roster on the bench, and then there'll be 2 Americans out of those 12. And I think like right now, the bigger household names that you're going to see are probably in the Japanese league. Right now, like in Asia, like, so when COVID came and all of these lockdowns that we talked about with China happened, then a lot of the better foreign players have shifted from China to Japan. And then Europe also, like the European basketball market is the financials have gone down quite a bit too recently. So Japan definitely has the best foreign players, and domestically, each of their teams play with 3 foreign players. So but for East Asia Super League, we play with 2 and unlimited playing time. And so the Japanese teams, I think, will have the best ones, but the Korean teams have very good foreign players too. I mean, I just watched like not this past season, but 2 ago, Jared Sullinger had a great year, and then this past season, Jameel Warney, he had a great year. He was MVP for that. So Korea's got some good players. In Philippines, it's kind of varies season to season. Taiwan, their new P League is getting better foreign players. And we also, the league, we have a Chinese team that we're launching, but that's going to play locally in the Philippines League, and then they're going to play regionally in East Asia Super League. And that team is mostly Chinese players. And then also we're going to have some really good American players with that. And we got the head coach from Team Australia, Brian Gorgon. They just won a bronze medal in Tokyo. And then the manager of like a GM consultant is Brian Colangelo, who's a big, and a lot of NBA experience too. So that's going to be a badass team, I think.
Wow. Would you ever put an All-American team in the league?
We're gonna do a preseason tournament, and we've been talking with different groups about this, including Beyer and Davis and Metta World Peace working on putting a team together under Barron's LA United and Metta's X versus X platforms for playing in a preseason tournament. And then we've also talking with French national team about doing some games in the preseason, and also talking with Overtime Elite with putting their team together. So, I mean, we want to try different concepts of putting in like different American teams into the league. In terms of like the actual season itself, like anything is possible, but I think we got to like just get this season off the ground and make sure that we're riding steady, and then we're going to increase from 8 teams to 16 teams in season 3. And when we do that, then anything's possible, because I think we'll probably, with our existing geographies, increase to like 12 to 14 teams. And so I don't know what those other 2 teams could be. Maybe we'll have like guest teams. We're pretty open. I think what we want to do is like, we know that the level of the basketball is obviously not as strong as the NBA, and it's not as strong as like the Euro League. So we want the game to be entertaining, and we want to bring in new concepts in there that like people are like, hey, this is like fun. Like even if the hoops is like needs to get a bit better to be competitive in the US, like we can still see something that we've never seen before at a basketball game.
Oh, you said we should bring a Hoop Dreams team there?
I think the Hoop Dreams team, I mean, look, like we just got to make sure that the insurance is right for the team. And, everyone's got to, I don't want to see any career-ending injuries going on.
That's right.
So I got 2 questions for you. What is the pay like for these players? And where is the venue you're going to be playing at?
So the venues are going to be every city. So like we have teams in Seoul, South Korea, in another city that's not too far from Seoul. We have a team in Japan that's like an hour north of Tokyo, and then and another that's in Okinawa. Philippines, the teams are in Manila. I mentioned that Chinese team in Manila, so that's 3 teams there in Manila. And then in Taiwan, in Taipei. So, they're all in that region.
Wow.
We want to make sure that the flights in the season are reasonable. So like, 3 hours, 4 hours, like we can't have guys like playing their own home league and then going and playing internationally and wearing themselves down too much,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, and the venues are going to be awesome. I mean, we have venues that are as small as like 6,000 all the way up to 22,000. So a lot of different types of venues, and the broadcast is going to be great. Like great graphic, great AR. We're going to have like the ads where they'll fill up on the court, and they'll be geography specific. We're going to have 13 cameras in the arena.
Wow.
So, a lot of different angles. We're going to have crews going around capturing stuff for our social media content, as well as that reality show that I mentioned. We're going to have a big crew of about 40 people that's going to go around to the different cities and get prime footage for that reality show. So like we're focused on giving the fans in the stands, but like more like the fans all over the world who want to see the top quality Asian basketball in prime time, like this experience too.
So Matt, are you like the Adam Silver of this league?
Yes, I would say that's equivalent, but I think as we go over time too, that we're like in terms of top basketball knowledge and everything, we're going to have to get more experts in the team. I mean, we have a great team, but like, when I see how specialized the NBA is in terms of all of these disciplines at the top management level, it's like, we always have much to learn.
And my other question for you is the format. And Agee alluded a little bit to this. Are the players just playing for a championship, or are they playing for money?
The players are playing for $1 million prize, which is what the championship team gets. So,
wow.
And like these team budgets, like in the Philippines, they're generally about $3-4 million, and then all the way up to like say 15 or so in Japan. And so, $1 million is a lot of money to the team and to the players. And most of the team will make a significant portion of that, if not the whole thing, being bonuses that are split among the players. So, and you can imagine that, like, in these leagues, the top paid players are usually no more than $1 million or like, whatever. So if you got another 50,000 coming to you or something, that's a good payday. So the players are incentivized, and then we pay the teams an appearance fee and prize money for winning. We take care of all of their expenses. So it's really just like a no risk thing for anyone to be involved. And we're just adding value to the ecosystem.
That's beautiful. I just seen Michael Beasley just signed a 7-figure deal with the CBA.
Yeah, he did. Michael is like probably the perfect player for the CBA, in my opinion. I mean, that guy just tears it up. Like, I've never seen. He's fast. He can shoot. He's athletic. Like, I mean, he's just he's a beast. Incredible player.
I mean, I didn't know his handle. I did not know his handle was that tight like that, where he can get from the 3-point line and bag you down, do a twist move. I'm talking about then do another move and lay the ball in or dunk it. I did not know his handles was tight like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like a few players that, there's a few seasons back when you were seeing a lot of these call-ups at the end of the CBA season, and there were certain guys, like Beasley was one of them, and I think that, like, sometimes that experience of just like being able to have the ball in your hand and do whatever you want, like, makes them more confident when they come back and have another chance in the NBA.
Hey Matt, did Lance Stevenson bring his swag over there?
Oh, Lance is the star of our last event in the terrific 12 in 2019, and I know there's pictures of him and I doing that guitar thing on the internet.
Lance make him dance. Lance make him dance.
He's great. Lance is awesome. I mean, he's a professional, but he's like, he just gets it done. He's super tough and just such a smart player. I mean, I love Lance Stevenson.
Now, Matt, you threw some prominent investor names out there that's on board, including some former NBA players. Can you talk a little bit about how they got involved with the project?
I've known Metta World Peace for over 10 years now. And, from when he was going over to China on his shoe tours for Peak. And, and then got to know Shane Battier through another party. And he was really supportive of this vision. And he'd also been a longtime Peak athlete himself. And then also with Beyer got connected through someone. He's really big in the Web 3.0 and crypto NFT space and everything. So Baron, his friend, introduced us, and it was just and I've talked to other players as well who were not interested in investing and working with us. And I should add on also Jalen Green from last week, that announcement. And I mean, all these players have. Baron was the first American player to sign with Li Ning, and Jalen is half Filipino. So it's really just everyone has a connection to the region, has had positive experiences in Asia, and they. I mean, Metta said it best one time when I was sitting with him. Just like I have like. It's done such good things for me and my family. So it's like, I want to be able to be a part of the what's the next generation of this game in Asia. Because it's not just about Asian fans watching the NBA. It's about them having a great league for their own players too.
I'd be curious to know that you guys reach out to the Jordan Clarkson family.
We don't know them. I mean, Jordan is he's probably going to play on the Philippine national team soon, I heard. I mean, Jordan is also like an incredibly, I mean, the thing is in the Philippines is that basketball is like above all sports, like by far. If there's a stat I saw that like in the country of 110 million people, 52 million people watch a live game every week. So
Wow.
that's over half the population. So you can go up like, a 20-year-old girl on the street and say, who's the starting five on the national team? And she'd probably know. And like, that's no joke. And like, and I mean, you can't do that like in Los Angeles or, it's not. And so these guys, Jordan Clarkson, Jalen Green, like, Coach Spo, like these guys are all like up at the level of Manny Pacquiao in society, really like, demigod status.
That is amazing. Wow, 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 wow. So when does the league launch officially?
October 12th is our first game. So we've got the first game, an early game and a late game. We're usually playing every week with like 2 games happening, and then because Japan and Korea are an hour later than China and the Philippines, so we just use the time difference, and then we'll play every week on Wednesday, except for during FIFA World Cup, and then FIBA has their 2 national team windows in November and February. So it's a 6-month season versus what we used to do, which is a week-long tournament. And like, what's the great about the week-long tournament is like, every day feels like you're at the NBA Finals, and you've got like 16 games in a week, and like, those beginning stages are 4 games a day. It's super good ball. You got everyone together, but it's like, from a commercial perspective, it goes up like this and then down like that. And with the 6-month season, you can bring in the sponsors, the media rights holders can promote to advertisers, like you can build the buzz between each game, etc. So we're just super excited for that because it changes the nature of our business completely.
I didn't know, Will, the And1 guys was touring over in Asia, and they kind of gave that, that culture to and exploded it down there in the Philippines. Like when the professor and them went down there, like, I mean, that was like what, in the 2000s?
When Kobe would show up, when any of these tours come through, like, I mean, it's like the second coming of Christ. Like it's just incredible. Like people are really like, they've got tattoos of the whole, face on their arm. It's
on the court. I've seen some outdoor courts painted with the whole NBA player on it.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, it's the passion for the game in the Philippines is like none other. I mean, when I was sitting with Yao Ming talking about the league before the pandemic in his office, he said that if China had the same fans of the Philippines, that we would win every game that we play in for the the national team, because the fans are just like, you can't hear anything for the entire game. They're just like yelling the entire time.
I just got to ask you this, Matt. Man, it has to be amazing to be in the position that you are right now. I mean, you are creating and have created, something that can become the standard over there. I mean, you're going to grow every year. I mean, how does that feel just to be, on the ground floor building this? Like, this is your baby. This is yours.
Yeah, well, I mean, I want it to be that it's just like when you talk about basketball and basketball culture, and it's like, what are the first few names that pop up? And hoopdreams is there, and I want everyone to be thinking like, hey, East Asia Super League is something I saw, like, one of our short form videos, and it inspired me to either play or to to paint a picture of someone doing basketball, something, and or to design a shirt with some basketball elements. It's like, the game is about the making people better, and that's what I think that what we want to inspire. And that's the mission, I would say.
Well, you got me inspired, man. Listen, my man, we want to appreciate you being on the show, man. My dog got one final question for you, man. Hit him with it, Agee.
Where does Matt Beyer see his hoop dream EASL league in 5 years?
Yeah, I see it as we're going to be we're going to be up there when people talk about NBA, EuroLeague. They're also going to be talking about EASL. It's like, if you think about this region, where we are going to be the first globally relevant basketball league or just sports league in general that's coming out of Asia. And kids are going to know it. They're going to know our TikTok videos. Their parents are going to know who the American players are playing on the teams. It's just going to be top of mind. When you think basketball, you think the ASL.
I'm the gold of my era. I've been a trending topic. I'm as fly as a feather. My pockets macroscopic. See, with time I get better. I'm always in the action, kid. Know I got it locked from Chicago where the toughest live. Concrete jungle, earn my stripes on the pavement there. You make it here, then you can make it anywhere. No comparison. Your game is embarrassing. No one can touch me. I'm all for going there again. Yeah, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Metta Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me. Yeah, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Metta Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me.
Hoop Dreams, the podcast, an Unlearning Network production. Written and produced by Arthur Agee, Will Gates, Matt Hoffer, with audio engineering from Matt Savage. For more episodes, check us out at www.unlearningnetwork.com.
Gotta be a dog to survive in this cold weather. Ice in my veins, no need for a warm sweater. I'm coming forward, all best believe I won't let up, yeah. Hey, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Metta Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me. Yeah, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Metta Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me. Yeah.